Alright, I wanted to take time in this video to showcase kind of an odd idea, but it's kind of piggybacking a little bit of a concept that I thought about and made a suggestion for. And then I kind of talk about the suggestion and then the different things that it will do, and then I'll actually take some items that already exist in the game and at least kind of semi-demonstrate the effectiveness of the idea. And the reason why I wanted to do this is because I think on paper the idea looks kind of bad, but I think there are some scenarios where it would actually be extremely powerful. And so I'm talking about this idea here. I called The Art of War. There's a book called The Art of War, Sun Tzu's Art of War, and there's a lot of things in that book that it talks about. And one of the things it talks about is like appear weak when you're strong, or appear strong when you are weak, that kind of thing. But what this does is, you think the effect is not very good, but I'll show you why it can be. So it's almost like as a player, based on a few niche scenarios, that it's going to actually be very good, despite on paper it looking bad. And I'll try to do my best to explain what I'm talking about, and then I'll kind of show a proof of concept with some existing items. So basically the idea is, it's a spell. I put NPSP variant, it's neutral element. Basically when you cast it, there's no damage. And a couple variations it could come up with, but basically both the monster and the player receive the same 2 effects that auto hit. So there's no save. It's just auto hit. Alright, so basically the player receives 1 turn of celerity. Their pet and guest also receive 1 turn of celerity, and then the monster receives a turn of celerity as well. The player also receives 125% Omni Elevuln on itself for 1 turn, as well as the monster. Now, I put in here that when you cast it, that essentially took turn 1 of your celerity. I'm open to making it quick cast and then making sure that it can't be used for the rest of that turn. That's fine if you want to make sure that you get 2 turns. I'm not opposed to that. And then I put standard costs. I think if you did some math and calculations, this would end up being super cheap, if not really close to free. I think there's a difference between value of a player attack and a monster attack, and whatever that difference is probably what it would cost. But I erred on a cautious side, just because I think there are some niche, some specific gameplay circumstances that would make this extremely strong. So I think, just to be safe, making it standard costs for the sake of potential shenanigans, I guess I should say. At least it'll mitigate it a little bit. But I want to first turn to the idea of the self-Elevuln. There is an item that you can do that with, that exists. It's inconsistent, and I don't know why it doesn't do it all the time. But the Mystic Hair Razor Blade, whenever you do the Bunny Stampede mode, when you attack, it'll shoot out these bunnies. It'll do a water Elevuln. It's supposed to inflict up to 125% Elevuln on yourself. So it's inconsistent, so I want to see if I can get it to do it. It didn't here. I think it'll do it on the 2nd turn. I don't know if there's some issues with the code, but I think it's going to do it here on the 2nd turn. There's either issues with the code or the info subs is not specific enough. Let's see if it'll do it this one. Still no. Anyway, I'll keep trying until it lands. But the purpose of this is just in case one doesn't realize. There it goes. Elemental vulnerability, 1 round for 125%. This actually will make you increase your healing by that amount, because it's Omni Elevon, which also affects your heal element. So there are some people that will use this weapon in conjunction with like Angel, the Angel spellcaster armor, this shield along with the Chronoplatin shield along with this Chronoplatin Misc, get to plus 12.5 bonus to your heal resist, and then if you hold the weapon it does as well. And if you were to have this Omni Elevon and all these boosts, like if you brought out a Berserk items and all these things, your heal is going to be pretty ridiculous. It's actually going to be quite a bit. In fact, this is supposed to be, excuse me, a set amount whenever you do this. So we went from 347 to 840. So that is almost 500. So we just received 125% boost. It was basically 7 points shy of 500. So we did 493. I don't remember the exact amount, but it's not that much. So just to show you that Omni Elevon on yourself increases healing. Alright, so there's part 1 of the proof of concept. Okay, whenever you're doing, in fact I think your 98 or whatever it is, SP regen would be boosted by that same 125%. Okay, now onto a few of the ideas. First of all, if you had 125% Elevon on yourself and 125% Elevon on the monster, and you're running backlash, so you would be, the monster would attack, you would take on 125% more backlash damage, or damage, which thus increases your backlash damage. So once it fires back onto the monster, it also has increased backlash damage. So he hits you harder for more backlash, but then the backlash hits the monster harder too. But the monster's going to go twice. So that's actually going to happen on the monster 2 times. So you'll get hit twice at 125% more damage. The monster will actually take 150% more damage twice. So you can see where in this instance you'll win out with backlash. So that's one scenario. Another scenario would be using items like Titan's Mug, or there's that old Fire Frostfell gift box set that has the auto hit feature. You know, things that where you increase your damage every time you're hit. Well, if the monster goes twice and hits you, it's just going to increase your damage. Well, in this case, so you're taking 125% more damage and it's hitting you. Well, it's going to go twice. Well, then it also has the Elevon on it. So not only is your damage going to increase because you're being hit using stuff like Titan's Mug and other items, but your attack back will then be even more enhanced. At the end of the day, in those scenarios, you're actually winning out. Another scenario, whenever you're using siphons, like the siphon spell, excuse me. So actually, it's going to hit for 125% more damage on the monster, and because it's healing, it's going to heal you for 125% more. So the siphon spell itself would actually be 150% more powerful. What about heal poisons? Or there's a few like burns that siphon SP and different things. So it's the same scenario, 125% more damage on the poison heal, and then it's gonna, the incoming amount is also enhanced by your own Omni Elevon 125%. So as you can see, there's a few scenarios where you actually come out ahead based on some specific instances. Now, for the final thing that I want to talk about is basically dodge lash. If you have a setup where you know you're going to dodge or pretty close to dodge, now this setup's not going to be as good. So I have the cherub pet here. You can find it in an old Frostville painting. I forget what year. Maybe from 2014, but that might not be right. But basically it does double damage, and it has 2 attacks. One attack is like in the 50-something% range, and the other one is like 40-something%. I don't know, it's like 44 or 46%. And then the lesser attack actually gives the monster celerity. So while I don't have necessarily have the Elevon on myself, I can still do this and give him the Elevon. And then, so I can try to simulate it a little bit. And then what I can do is give myself celerity. So because I'm not casting a spell that's also given the celerity, I'm not going to use dual bun barrets. But basically the idea is you're using dual bun barrets, you're giving yourself celerity. They each go twice. You increase your def boost to a level where you're probably not going to be hit. The monster's going to attack you twice. If you're using Summoning Stone and Titan's Fall, basically it's like double the dodge lash. So that's going to be proof of concept that I'm going to try to showcase right now. It's only going to work if this guy does the lesser of the 2 attacks, but you'll see, hopefully. The other thing that I'm going to try to do in this specific instance with Cherub Armor is try to Prime Chaos Orb Wind to a better number, because I'm on blind mode, on Broken Heart Arrows mode. So you got Star Arrows, Heart Arrows. You want to be on Broken Heart Arrows. So I'm going to do Summoning Stone, and I'm going to use Havarti Blade, not only for the accuracy to make sure I'm landing, to inflict blind, but I'm going to try to trigger celerity here as much as I can, even though I already did Shadow Feeder Pendant. My hope is this guy will give this guy celerity, and I will have enough blocking so that my dodge lash will cut it down. And so we'll see what happens. So as you can see, blind is up to 68. So that's the attack that you want to see. This one's not the attack. So it did get 1 round of celerity. So now it's going to attack me twice. It's pretty cool on a monster with a pack monsters. So basically what you just saw is kind of what I was hoping we would see. So here's the celerity attack. And as you can see, the damage of the guess is quite strong. It by itself. I'll do it one more time and see what we can manage. But this is the kind of the basis of the idea that I have for the Art of War spell, is to take some of these kind of odd concepts and use some of the effects, not only what was seemingly bad on yourself as an advantage, but also again taking advantage of the monster celerity, because on paper you think, well, that's not good. Well, in certain circumstances it actually is. So let's see what we can get away with. Should have a high enough blind here. Even though it missed, it gave it celerity. That works for me. And so it's basically dodge lashing itself now. Hopefully I'll get another celerity turn here. Yep, there we go. Thank you, Havarti Blade. Just gonna dodge lash itself to death. And so there's a little bit of a proof of concept, even though my idea would probably result in a little bit stronger application. But Again, you have your cherub guest, your bun barret, your cherub armor. That'd be nice if these two had just because they share a name, a mini full set bonus. And then you're using your dodge lash items. So that's my proof of concept for the idea, but this is one way you can go. It's just try to give your monster more turns to kill itself. Or you can use the Omni LE Vulns on both monster and yourself to heal better. Yeah, there's going to be some downsides. You might get hit harder in certain circumstances, but again, you can take advantage of the effect. That's all I have for today.